Hey guys, long time no here. What if cross-dressing Naruto had ice release part 1? A 6-year-old Naruto would walk through the Hokage's office as he'd go, hey old man, as said old man would smile. This old man being who's in Sarutobi, the current slash former third Hokage. As he'd simply smile as he go, Naruto-kun, how was your first day of the academy? As Naruto would go, it was okay. And from there, Hiruzen and Naruto would speak, mainly Hiruzen, asking questions, and Naruto answering them. Though Naruto would end up asking one question, that being, how comes those maybe like 2 to hey old man, why there like 2 to 3 times the amount of boys as there were girls? As someone go, that, well, it's mainly because they're not as interested in becoming shinobi as the boys like you are. Naruto would kind of quite set to the side, not necessarily kind of seemingly being able to kind of fully understand why. And yeah, he'd kind of just start his own news and would go, well, that, and also the fact that the shinobi world is mainly a kind of male dominated area. After it would quite said to the other side and go, male, what now? As Hiruzen go, in other words, it's where just say men, myself, and somewhat males, what GOR now, so pretty much like there are more say boys in that area of it, do that instead of say something else. So it'd be like, guess you could say there'd be somewhat, say there are more girls running a shop than there are boys. Like there is a higher, say, there's almost like 50% more, say, girls running a shop than there are boys, as most of the boys or males are, of course, shinobi protecting the village. And Naruto would kind of roughly understand that, and of course, because in a way, also girls are kind of looked upon as being weaker. Naruto would be confused at times, go, how? And they would continue to have the talk, and someone talk about that, and eventually they would end up kind of just speaking about being somewhat being underestimated. Now that's kind of a good thing and not a bad thing, as someone did underestimate Naruto's abilities and had been kind of beating up, as this would be sort of their first day, and it would probably also be maybe their first taijutsu spar, just to see what any natural fighting abilities they may have, or any potential training they may have from their parents or even clan, right? And so they can, the teachers, or at least Iruka would know, whom would need more work in, in that area. And, well, yeah, and the person that had fought against had really underestimated him, thinking, he's just a, early orphan whom, his mum had seemed to kind of not be so happy about. though he didn't exactly know why, and, well, yeah, he kind of got his minds, but considering most known orphans were actually generally pretty bad. It's just Naruto was kind of somewhat of an exception. Somewhat, there was another orphan that was incredibly strong, but yeah. Anyway, and so, well, yeah, though, and well, yeah, he was in. Of course, Naruto would ask, how is he not being underestimated? A kind of good thing, old man. And go, well, can't see what you just think, I simply run this village and I'm the strong shinobi, right? Well, of course you're the, leader. And go, but do you really believe that now, though? And that go, well, it's okay if you don't. Naruto, it is perfectly understandable. After all, I'm an old, crippled old man who's slowly going senile. And Naruto would kind of go, well, yeah, kind of. And he would smile and he'd go, well, that right there is you underestimating me. Whilst, yes, I probably am going somewhat senile in the head here, but I'm still very capable of shinobi. After all, I am the, well, I was once known as, maybe not these days, but I was definitely in my younger years, known as the god of shinobi, and also the professor. Naruto. And Naruto would be surprised, and he'd go, yeah, he'd look surprised, and he'd go, well, then prove it, kind of just, just do kind of, or at least, somewhat as an outburst, and Hizen would think momentarily, and, well, it couldn't hurt after all, plus, it would also force being underestimated is a good thing if you showed Naruto a somewhat maybe kind of flashy, powerfully looking jutsu. And plus, he kind of needed a bit of a break, or at least a bit of a longer break than what he was currently getting from Naruto. And so he'd go, well, I need to go somewhere, say, go out and stretch my legs a bit. So come with me, and I'll show you one of my many jutsu, just so you, that once I maybe old and a bit senile in the head here, I'm at least but I'd at least like to think I'm still a pretty powerful shinobi. And now to be somewhat, excited to, see, an actual jutsu, someone heard of them, and Hizen spoke of, shinobi doing, crazy things and that. And you would now finally actually get to see one of those things. Well, two actually, as Hizen would put his hand on Naruto would kind of look at him, confused and go, huh? Aren't we going to go? And he'd smile and say, yes. Though this is a bit quicker, as they would perceive to disappear in a puff of smoke and reappear in a swirl of leaves, with Naruto stumbling forward, going, what, spin around, what was that? As Hizen would smile and would simply go, that Naruto is a jutsu known as the Sunshin. I'd go, well, can you teach me that? And Hizen would go, well, you'll learn it in due time. My boy, to which Naruto would just somewhat grumble, bless you, also need to know about the inner energy that is inside of us, and of course, you need to learn of that first, and how to control that before I could even teach you this. Then teach me about this inner energy thingy, whatever it is. And Hizen would go, but you'll learn that in the academy. After all, somewhat everyone else doesn't know of that, and it gives you a bit of an unfair advantage when you say to it, Naruto would just grumble and go, yeah, but other kids have parents that, help them, and that gives them an advantage somewhat. Kind of say, not necessarily sure how to kind of word it, and he was knew what Naruto meant by that, as in not kids having actual parents, but the clan children, the children from clans, they, from shinobi clans that are probably already maybe started to actually teach them, if not maybe kind of relying on the academy for maybe the first year or two up to that, maybe 7 or 8, to actually start teaching them, even though they are technically already 8, well, not 8, 7, though in this case you could say Naruto's 5 and they're 7, 6, so anyway. Yeah, that's how it would actually be, so yeah, never mind, Naruto is 5, not 6. Whatever, anyway. From there, they would walk for a bit before Hizum would tell him to step back a bit, so, he could witness the jutsu he was about to perform. Naruto would kind of do so with kind of excitement to see what the old man was going to do. After all, not only was it going to be jutsu, but, well, yeah, it is hopefully going to be a powerful one to, disprove the fact that, he's seemingly old and thus potentially weak, maybe. And so, as I said, Hazen would speed through some minor signs and would proceed to do a jutsu to which would leave Naruto's mouth on the floor and his eyes open. And yeah, Hazen would turn to look at Naruto and would somewhat chakra as he'd go, Naruto, you may want to somewhat maybe close your eyes a bit, as you don't want them to fall out now, do you? And you may also want to you may also want to close your mouth. After all, you don't want a fly going in there now, do you? You'd say with some amusement. As Naruto would proceed to audibly snap his mouth shut and kind of just blink and go, that was awesome. Tatabeyo can teach me that, as Hizum would just chakra again would tell him that. Again, he would need to learn of the inner energy within him. And yeah, Naruto would just grumble, plus he'd say what he'd done was something he'd have to be a potential gaining to tuning level shinobi before he could start learning it. To which Naruto would just somewhat look down, though. Hizum would tell him, though, does that prove my point, though, of being underestimated is a good thing, to which Naruto would kind of go, I guess, but, what did you do again? A jutsu, Naruto. The jutsu thingy you did, there's one thing, but, actually seeing you fight is another, to which his original chuckle. Only, well, maybe not chuckle, but just nod. Well, you do have a point there, but still. Any of my somewhat armor, I'd know for sure would probably be starting to make me sweat a little and maybe even run away. And yeah, maybe I just want to believe that, and in actuality they probably instead try and attack me instead. I do not know, nor do I wish to try. Anyway, though, I can assure you, Naruto, that being underestimated is a good thing, as long as you've actually got the strength to actually warrant the underestimation. Otherwise, that you being underestimated could actually be them actually estimating your strength to be correct, and you're just overestimating yourself, which is the worst thing a shinobi can do, is to overestimate their abilities and underestimate their opponent. Even though this is taught to every shinobi out there now, I can assure you it is a much harder thing to not do than people then would like it to be, right? You're probably, you underestimate me and sort of that, and you're still probably somewhat underestimating me. And, that is perfectly fine. As, after all, I am your, Hokage. But to underestimate an enemy shinobi can be the difference between, say, you coming back and you never coming back again. Say, I may never see you again. Or maybe you come back, but you come back, say, with a few more cuts or that. Understand? Yeah, old man. And likewise, overestimating your skill can do exactly the same thing. You overestimate your skills and you take a mission that you're woefully unprepared for, both physically and mentally. What do you mean by that? Well, physically wise, you're not really strong enough, and why I say would, say, try and match a shinobi strength to a mission. Sometimes you could be, say, have, say, a mission that, I may believe is to your strengths and instead is just not, and yeah, that can happen. So actually underestimating yourself and being able to be in such a way that everyone underestimates you is a kind of good thing, because it means if you ever get on a mission that's, say, harder than what the rank is that I give you, then it just means you have a much higher chance than I would maybe initially think of you surviving that rank, and instead you may perfectly survive it. And yeah, a underestimation to a degree, even for oneself, is a good thing, but if you're underestimating yourself, say, to the degree in where you say you believe, let's say you're a tuning, right? And your strength is that of a, say, Ronin, but you believe yourself to be as strong as maybe a Genin. That is pretty bad. And you're massively underestimating yourself, and well, it pretty much means any training you really do is going to be super easy for you, and you're not really going to get any stronger. If anything, you may actually become weaker instead. Though how one would get that strong in the first place is beyond me, but anything can happen, I guess. It's Naruto would kind of nod. And from there, they would talk a bit more, and Naruto would be. Eventually, they would. At least they would kind of maybe go from there, say, go for maybe somewhat of a walk, though mainly Hiruzen would be, checking on to see how the villagers, say, treat out, and seeing the class, and that he would just mentally side hope they would be better. Or at least have somewhat gotten over it, at least somewhat, after what it's been 5 going on 6 years now since the, Nine Tails attack happened and they're still glaring at him. Granted, the information really only came out about maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe even sooner, maybe even, like, a few out, like, maybe a week or 2 after he was born. But, yeah, it's been some time for them to get over it, and they haven't still, and yeah. Anyway, though, from there, though Hiruzen would, after having, say, some Ichiraki ramen, Hiruzen would go back to the, his office, and Naruto would just kind of somewhat wander aimlessly through the village, just kind of thinking himself how he could potentially underestimate himself. Well, at least get other people to potentially start underestimating himself even to the tiniest degree. Or that, and yeah, after all, the sooner he can, and he'd know at least to a degree that if he, the sooner he starts, the better he'll be in the long run. And yeah, he'd think about that, and he would keep on, or at least, and he'd, Hazen's, telling him about being underestimated, good thing, and potentially even some, maybe, I don't think he would really tell out how to kind of see, or at least get people to underestimate you. And that, though, of course, that's only one way was to become old, and well, he didn't really want to become old. Or at least not right the second, because, well, yeah, then that would just be weird. Anyway. So he'd keep on thinking, and eventually or at least he'd sort of remember, or at least, and he'd also remember, of course, him telling, Hazen telling him about girls seemingly be weaker, and at least kind of being somewhat, not necessarily underestimated, but were only bigger, or at least were somewhat weaker. I don't know why I said bigger. Somewhat weaker than the men, and were a lot less, and were as such kind of, a good Konoichi, a good, Shinobi, a good Konoichi would actually use that to advantage, as she'd actually be underestimated instead of potentially overestimated. And indeed, no, you couldn't exactly just become a girl now, and he kind of, he didn't exactly know. He having no real parents, didn't really, or at least he was kind of, didn't really know much difference between boy and girl and boy. Just they somewhat wore different clothes, and that was kind of it. And yeah, and that girls for some odd reason, like their chest grew out and had longer hair, whilst boys didn't, or at least men didn't, and kind of whatever. And yeah, anyway, so, and of course he could technically become a girl later on with the aid of the transformation jutsu, but he didn't know of that right now, and of course he didn't even know really what chakra was. Just this inner energy that Posen had talked about a few times, and that. And yeah, and so he eventually, of course, realised that he could potentially, wear girls' clothes as well, and look like one, and potentially maybe somewhat trying his best to maybe act like a girl, kind of, or at least act enough like a girl that everyone thinks he is a girl. Whereas in actuality, he's a boy, a male, and kind of with that, he would perceive and from there, he would then think that. From there, he would then go to a clothes store, and entering it, being or at least the one Houston took him to get his clothes from, we'd see the person just kind of glare somewhat at him, somewhat. And from there, Naruto would seemingly pretend to, or at least would kind of just almost immediately leave, as he'd kind of think that it may be at least good to have, or at least a place he could go to that at least seemed to be maybe happy that he was there. At least he knew, what people would say, kind of someone, somebody, kind of someone would have, kind of welcome instead of a more kind of somewhat, it's you or welcome, in a more somewhat deep, kind of angrier, maybe sad or empathetic way. And he wanted a, more kind of normal one like the other, people got when they walked in. And while he didn't even know how much time had passed, as he couldn't even remember how many stores he'd been in. Was it 10? Was it 20? Was it 100? He didn't really know. For a village the size of God, he was kind of surprised just how many clothes stores there were. Though eventually he'd figure that at least had to be maybe 3 or 4 more left to go, right? Maybe this was the last one. He really wasn't sure, though then again he'd noticed at least 2 more down the road, so yeah, never mind. If there was at least 2 more to go in this way, maybe there were more. And so he'd walk in and well, compared to the others he'd been through, to the person would kind of welcome him with something like that. Welcome, how can I be of assistance to you today, sir? And after it did kind of manage to feel somewhat happy, and you didn't exactly know why, and because naturally so it makes sense. After all, he'd been glad at for who knows how long now, and well, all of a sudden being treated like a normal person, it would probably make you feel happy. And yeah, from there to walk over to Naruto and sort of ask if there was anything to it. Naruto would somewhat kind of nod, realizing that it now all of a sudden became a hell of a lot harder to seemingly speak, or at least what he kind of came here to kind of want. She'd start Naruto and would go, are you like the kind of thing, like, was there someone after him trying to hurt him, or what? Are you hit by clothes? She'd ask him. Now to would nod and would kind of seemingly start to go red in the face, looking a bit embarrassed / maybe a bit uncomfortable. And after a bit of thinking, she'd perceived to kind of ask him, slightly curious, if he was here to maybe buy, or at least to maybe simply kind of try on girls close to it. Now to look up, sort of surprise him and go, and would actually say, how did you know? To which she'd go, well, it was, well, it kind of doesn't always make sense when someone is, somewhat embarrassed, to, come into buying clothes for themselves, unless they want to try, say the opposite, get those clothes on. And yeah, it can then be somewhat embarrassing, so kind of guess that. And yeah, from there they would talk for a bit about, or at least mainly that. Always though should pretty much how always kind of guessed that Naruto was doing this to maybe trying to kind of be underestimated, to which Naruto would ask her if she was some type of mind reader, to which she'd somewhat chuckle and would shake her head, simply saying that she wasn't, and that she was a former Konoichi, which Naruto would kind of look up somewhat some knowledge, would be surprised on he was a ninja. Which she'd nod and she'd say that she was a jonin some time ago, but it did someone eventually kind of gave it up, as she said that once it was nice and all. I kind of wanted to somewhat try out something new, so I opened this store, and yeah, I would kind of look around and go, well, it doesn't really seem you get many visitors. She should go and get some I guess though my clothes are in a way, I guess, special. Naruto does would kind of quite sense as special as you'll know when you start learning of once they start truly say training you in the art of or in the arts of a shinobi. Naruto would somewhat just kind of nod. And yeah, though Naruto think I'm going to go, though you probably already know my name, don't you, Twitch? You would, well, she wouldn't even look surprised, she'd just somewhat nod. I should tell Naruto that there was very few people that actually didn't know his name, or that, and she'd put up her hand, she'd go, and before you even ask me, I would go ask you what, kind of looking a bit surprised, and she'd go, the kind of question you're probably going to ask me after I sort of say potentially this or that, but yes, I know why the people hate you, and I cannot tell you due to the fact Lord Ferd, the third Hokage, has made a law preventing us from telling really speaking about it and telling you and or anyone your age. Naruto would kind of look down a bit annoyed at the old man, kind of seemingly never telling him. But yeah, he would just somewhat nod, and they would talk for a bit more before she would actually, or at least kind of go with Naruto, and would kind of somewhat help him out to get at least a few things that would somewhat slightly help him in maybe or at least that would somewhat kind of so well, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, would help him pick out some clothes and that. After all, as you would potentially mention that the only time he was actually bought anything was with the old man. Should go, old man, kind of curious. Should believe he probably meant the final cargo. After all, it was, or at least somewhat, or at least she'd heard simply rumours and people speaking that not only, if I were simply close or whatever. Like how can the Hokage, walk with that demon bat, in the whispers and whatever, and yeah, so she figured that maybe now to call him old man, they were close, and she'd go, I assume you mean the third Hokage, right? And I'd go, yeah. And I would nod as you'd say that, and yeah. Anyway, those who would also somewhat mention potentially about Naruto getting makeup. Naruto would crack his head to the side and ask what that was, to which you'd kind of or at least tell him that it was anyway what kind of maybe say 10, 11, 12-year-old girls started some, or at least would some kind of way to maybe look themselves, or at least make themselves look a bit, maybe cute or pretty or that. And what I don't. Females definitely somewhat rare, though it depended on the woman, the female. Not would kind of not that, but would kind of ask why. So would be telling him to potentially get some or something like that. Should tell him that to, or at least what he was potentially looking for. The word was suggestion, and that to not only for that of that, as you can put that, you can get some makeup that say kind of matches your skin color, and as such, you can hide your sort of whisker marks. So you can say you go maybe shopping for food without maybe being noticed, as you'd be pretty surprised that most of the people actually really only know you because of the whisker marks, and if you kind of hide them because nobody else has got them, if you hide them Naruto with a bit of makeup, you'd be surprised just how many people will actually kind of sadly treat you like a any other child. And maybe you'll even get a bit off for being an orphan, even, or even going to the academy and being an orphan. And yeah, Naruto would somewhat at least be honest. She didn't exactly know how Naruto, kind of take it, maybe potentially hearing that though. Naruto would somewhat nod, and yeah, though she would ask him what his somewhat dream was. Again, she'd heard that. Oh wow, hadn't really heard of saying that his dream, and was maybe at least somewhat curious. And or if Naruto even had a dream, and Naruto would kind of be curious and would ask why should someone ask him to it, should say that a dream was always good for us to have, as it would help them to get stronger and kind of drive them to becoming an even stronger shinobi, and that having a dream and then goals, say, to reach that. Like, it's good to have a dream, right? And it's also good to have, say, goals to get yourself to that dream, so that, and that'll help you to become, truly, actually strong, instead of, say, instead of just kind of, let's say, winging it. In other words, just not really having much of a goal or dream in mind, and just saying that you want to become, say, a shinobi because that's maybe what the third wants you to become, or that's just what sounds maybe cool and exciting. And yeah, now to know that and go that he kind of wanted to become the Hokage, to somewhat be maybe some of the, to get at least some respect in that, and somewhat not understand, or at least for now, that made, perfect sense for, someone of Naruto's age, as he wouldn't exactly truly understand at the moment what Hokage maybe truly meant. And Naruto would continue being somewhat surprised that Naruto actually wasn't finished, and to kind of attack the ones I kind of care about. And while it's maybe very much maybe a kind of dream, but maybe it kind of scratches somewhat. She kind of go, never mind. She'd try and coach Naruto to tell her, but he'd kind of just shake his head vehement on not saying it. And after maybe 10 or so minutes of trying, she would give up in trying to convince Naruto to tell her of his maybe real dream like that. And she'd say that maybe that's his real dream, that is, and that a goal to achieving that dream is maybe to become Hokage, and she'd tell him that you don't really need to become Hokage Naruto to be respected, and she'd kind of look at her and would go, really? And she'd nod. Yeah, to become Hokage Naruto, you kind of have to be respected, and you may think that nobody will ever truly respect you, but that kind of falls as you become a shinobi, and as you, say, do missions and get more known and popular, and that you will slowly be respected as you become more and more shinobi. Now not so what you're saying then. That's what I'm saying is you're somewhat, or at least you're, whatever your dream is, or whatever you kind of don't want to tell me. But one goal should be firstly to, at least should have, say, like major goals. So your first major goal, become a shinobi, so to become a genin. Next one from that, become a chunin, then a jonin, then say Hokage. From there, then your next major goal could be to achieve your dream. or maybe one of several dreams you may have as you grow up. And yeah, though within those goals you'll have, say, sub goals or goals within goals. After just not and would go, say, of course, to say become a genin, you'd need to say know the inner energy within you, how to. So that could be a goal to know that, or to maybe know and can say like to control it, and to learn the basic techniques the academy will say teach you, and to maybe master them to a high degree. And yeah, and because you want to be, say, underestimated, maybe to actually get very, or at least say, confident, and actually maybe kind of be, or at least convince them by, say, dressing up and somewhat acting like, that you are a girl, even though, in actuality you're a male. But yeah, Nato would nod, and even though he'd already kind of buy the clothes, they would continue to talk for a fair bit, as she said, and any person that kind of someone walked in wouldn't even bat an eye like that, Nato. And or maybe even just greet the both of them. Yeah, as the people that would come in would actually be Shinobi. And yeah, anyway, though after some time, Naruto would leave. And yeah, from there, of course, Naruto would learn throughout the academy, or at least throughout his first year there, how to throw kunais properly, and maybe even what the inner energy within him is called, and potentially even how it's somewhat made, or at the very least what it's made up of. And yeah, though throughout his first year of the academy, you wouldn't actually ever kind of wrap the how close he kind of got to the academy, as he'd kind of want to at least get more comfortable around his apartment, and even kind of outside, kind of Kona, around Kona. Sure, he'd be somewhat glad at, but hey, that was maybe more bearable to him than going to the academy and sitting there for maybe 8-ish hours. And yeah, though he would continue to go to the shop throughout that. Yeah, she would, or at least had told him that to come by in time, and even to come by, I should help him to maybe kind of be slightly more feminine, to be able to blend in more and to seem, that Naruto was actually a girl and maybe not a boy, or, something like that, right? And, yeah, something she would probably say and tell Naruto to do would be to just let her grow out, and that even though, well, Naruto exactly, maybe he'd be a bit bothered by that. Not necessarily sure. Anyway, though, and after, a month, because of the, well, he's just, it'd be, I'd just give them a month off, because, why not? I've always had in my mind that they have, over there, at least in there, a month off, doing the graduating class. And yeah, anyway, from there though, Naruto would come back, and on his second year there, so he'd be 7. No, he'd be 6. Or at least some of the kids would be 7. He'd be 6, and of course would be 7 that October. And yeah, he'd sit there and would kind of be, or at least he'd kind of somewhat believe that normally seem to kind of realise that he was wearing natural girl clothing. Sure, they were a lot less obvious and looked more potentially like just male clothing or that. So nobody would really call him out on that, and yeah, of course, there's somewhat. It's out the window for the next 20 minutes, kind of 10, 15, 20 minutes, just thinking about what kind of happened, what he'd learnt through his first year of the academy, mainly that just being just a bit of taijutsu, working on their strength, mainly their strength and stamina, with everyone pretty much learning that when it came to stamina, Naruto had them beat. That was normally that could could outlast him in, say, a run around, say, the track. Or that, even, I don't know, maybe, say, Iruko, or I don't think Mizuki would be that at that time. Maybe he would, maybe he is, I do not know. Tell me in the comments down below if you do believe Mizuki would actually be that at this time. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Don't know. Maybe he joined later on. Anyway. Yeah, from there, Naruto, anyway, though he would somewhat maybe last the same period, the same length of time as maybe a Chunin or that. After all, Naruto is an Uzumaki. He's half Uzumaki. Though Kisarizuman was an extraordinarily high, or at least had extraordinarily high chakra reserves, which would mean, because they more or least higher than average for an Uzumaki spiritual and physical energy, which physical energy would be the stamina and that of the body, and the energy of the body, so the stamina and that. And of course that would be passed on to Naruto, whom, even though only half, though probably more so 48.5 Uzumaki than 48.5 to 45% kind of civilian. Minto was his dad. As he'd be then potentially 5 to 10% nine-tailed fox, or from the Nine Towers, he's pretty much, or would he be 5 to 10% tailed beast instead of nine-tailed fox? Probably nine-tailed fox, but yeah. So his chakra reserves would probably be equal to that of a normal Uzumaki at his age, or even higher, due to having some 5 to 10% of the Nine Tails DNA within him, boosting his reserves up to, and potentially even maybe somewhat surpassing a normal Uzumaki. Plus, you could say, some people would probably say, and also the Nine-Tailed Fox would be thin his somewhat chakra into Naruto, and I don't really think at this age any of his chakra would actually be going into Naruto, and that instead his chakra would actually be flipped and actually be on him instead, aiding Naruto's own chakra in keeping the seal up. And of course, as kind of a result, it would slowly, because by design, Minto decided like that to slowly weaken over time as Naruto aged, so that his body would slowly get used to the nine tails chakra within him, and hopefully, not only Naruto could, and Minto, someone like Naruto could not only befriend the nine tails, but potentially use this chakra for the good of the village, and potentially maybe even the world. So yeah. Anyway, yes, I believe at least at this moment, Nine Tails chakra wasn't really affecting Naruto at all. So yeah. Anyway, and so, well, yeah, though, of course, after those 10 to 20 minutes, Iruka and potentially Music, if he's there, would walk in and they would start the class and would tell them that potentially today they'd be learning, or at least somewhat today, they would be awakening their chakra, or at least gaining a very basic level of control over that chakra, awakening it, gaining that fast connection to the chakra, knowing what it feels like in that, within them. And Naruto, of course, would be somewhat, excited in that, finally he could, kind of start learning potentially how to control the, chakra, or whatever it was inside of him. And, well, yeah, of course, they, would. And he would be probably the first to actually, well, or at least the first out of people that didn't know, which would probably be the majority of them outside of Sasuke, whose family would probably be dead by this point. I was not exactly sure when the Uchiha massacre was. That was either when Sasuke was 6 or maybe now as he's 7. So probably it was definitely in the academy. And yeah. Anyway, so that would definitely have happened potentially by this point, if not later, yeah. So he'd definitely be, kind of fixated, or at least started to, kind of get fixated on killing his brother. And yeah, anyway, though, from there, the time, of course, time would pass as that you would really, besides from that, and maybe how to somewhat hold and throw a kunai and shuriken, and more, even more than last year, even more like taijutsu, so training, maybe even some actual sparring besides on one on the first day, all that, and yeah, mainly actual taijutsu stances, and then at the end of the week a taijutsu spar just to see how they're just how well they're taking the taijutsu stance, right? Seeing what parts of the taijutsu stance and that they need to work on. And yeah, and so the time would pass, and eventually Naruto would learn off, probably now being 8 years, well, not 8, but some people being 8, him now being 7, and on his 3rd year of the academy, they would start teaching them about actual something jutsu, as of course that year, not on, or at least his 2nd year, of course, chakra unlocking / gaining a control over it, and also probably the leaf sticking exercise as well, with by this point everyone could do. And it was already maybe at least 2 to 3, well, probably at least a week to 2 weeks in, as Iruka would make sure that they all knew what chakra was, and also seeing their chakra control, and seeing if they continued to do it afterwards, and that anyway, and seeing that their control was all pretty much the same, if not a bit better, you'd finally decide that today was the day you'd finally teach them that first jutsu, that being potentially one of the, or at least what he'd potentially be maybe one of the more harder jutsus to somewhat learn, that being the transformation. And yeah, so when he'd walk in, he'd kind of tell, he'd greet everyone, make sure everyone was in, so do the register. And after that, he would then tell them that today there would be at least they'd be doing one thing today. They'd would be curious, especially now to after all, they'd be very confused, to do only one thing today. What would that be? Were they learning a jutsu and now to shout out kind of in excitement if they'd be if they'd be finally learning a jutsu today, to which, well, everyone couldn't help but kind of actually gain some hope that maybe it was, maybe some of that, though. Yeah, though some, of course, wouldn't believe that, and that it was probably something more boring. Maybe it was just a, harder chakra control all day today, or maybe it was just a, something else. And, yeah, so, though Iruka would somewhat, maybe slightly smile, or at least he would not go and, hi, it is indeed a jutsu. It'd be the first jutsu I'll be teaching you, use, which is, what I believe, probably the hardest jutsu you'll at least learn during your time in the academy. And of course, for most of them, if not maybe all of them, except for Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke obviously knowing the fireball jutsu, and Naruto because Naruto and the clone jutsu. But yeah. Anyway, so from there it would have them all potentially go outside. Oh yeah, definitely go outside, and he'd or at least have them run through the hand signs, make sure they were all sort of correct for maybe the first half an hour or hour, and from there we'd then proceed to show them the hand signs to the jutsu potentially, and then tell them to transform into him and to get as good as idea or at least image of him in their head before trying to transform. So that's what they would do, and yeah, from there Naruto would kind of realise that not only is that he could now become a girl, but by this point, or at least somewhat, they would kind of realise that, or at least if they was teaching them, that they could probably easily spot it, and yeah. Plus, Iruka, or at least though Iruka would, well, no. No. Iruka would just have them outside. Though he'd go, before I let you loose, or at least trying to transform into me, I do need to tell you, or at least some, well, no, I don't think he would, as he probably wouldn't think that any of them would be thinking about, trying this, the jutsu off in a fight or something like that. And if they were, they'd probably ask him later on, the next day or that, when they were, sitting down in class, maybe. And or they would ask him personally, him or Mizuki. And so, yeah, from there, more time would pass, as eventually Naruto, or at least someone would ask him, like if, or at least, kind of maybe more specific, like kind of what use was this besides him being able to transform to it, you could probably say that this jutsu was mainly useful for, say, sticking around people and other stuff like that, and which, somewhat explain what the transformation was mainly used for him, and probably some shinobis and that are more, stealth based in how they utilize the transformation. And yeah, as we, or at least know potentially that shinobi have come into the academy to tell them potential stories and other stuff of the life, what they could expect as a life as a shinobi. and a shinobi of Konoha, of course. And yeah, so as the time would pass, Namdu would actually bat an eye as Naruto seemingly slowly, progressively wearing seemingly more and more obvious female clothing. And yeah, Namdu would sure, in the, some of the, or at least if anyone were to look at his academy, actual racket, his personal information, that was probably somewhere stored that Iruka and or Mizuki could get, potentially, to a degree. It would be, at least it would state his name, his, full name, Naruto Uzumaki, and his gender, male. And yeah, Naruto, not Naruto, he was of course, I've obviously had noticed Naruto's similarly liking of wearing women, or at least girl clothing, female clothing, and and of course, remember that, talk of Naruto, of, how underestimation could be a good thing, but underestimating oneself was bad. Or at least could be good to a degree, as it can help you to be at least somewhat humble, but if you underestimate your skills too much, then you're being more of a hindrance to yourself and can potentially get yourself killed, as you think you're going at 100%, even though you're probably more likely to be at, say, 50, maybe to 75% actual, utilization of your strength instead of your actual 100%. So, yeah. Anyway, and so, well, yeah. And of course, now to how we did, let it someone grow out, and once he did, well, yeah, he never really make, or at least, the somewhat semi makeup in the academy, would, when he'd need to actually get, groceries, food and that, he'd definitely wear some makeup, and later just somewhat, even though he would still, or at least use stuff to girls that, around 6, not 6, 10, 11 and older did, so at the very least having some knowledge on actually having to use and apply it, and that properly would definitely aid them into seeming more as a girl, more feminine. And so from there, of course, Naruto would then learn from transformation to replacement, and then eventually would land in the clone jutsu. Which would just be an absolute nightmare for him. And yeah, by this, yeah, and yeah, he'd ask, he'd, at least though, at least I would eventually, or at least after maybe say almost 6 months of actually struggling to do the not transferring the clone jutsu, he would end up going to the shop that gets his now clothes from, and at least somewhat seeing Naruto kind of walking, and the woman would sort of smile and go, Naruto-chan, how are you? She's Naruto go, someone okay. Though, so seeing, Naruto do his, or kind of, someone has almost everyone now saw Naruto, some of the cheeks kind of scratching it. Naruto should go, well, how can I help you? I'm guessing this is more shinobi based than clothes based now, is it? To which Naruto would someone nod, and she'd go, well then, can I help you, Naruto? To which Naruto would go, well, can you, see what I'm doing wrong with the clone jutsu? It's been, like 6 months now since the academy kind of taught us it, and like everyone else have now kind of got it to a more usable degree, and I'm still struggling with it. Saying that, Iruka Sensei and the old man just tell me to practice my chakra control, to work on my chakra control, but damn it, they don't tell me, kind of how, like, and yeah, should so just no longer well if they tell you to do that. Then of course one thing you can do is just to stick an actual leaf in your forehead. So to try and get two individual leaves, say, stuck on your forehead, to be stuck there, or say a leaf in each of your hands, say upside down, something like that. But yeah, let me do the clone jutsu, and let me see Naruto. Though firstly, can at least say see your transformation, just your transformation replacement. Jutsu first. Naruto, no, then should grand. Not in here. We'll go somewhere else to it. Should proceed to walk over, but switch say sign around to go from open to close. Would probably, or at least lock the door, go out back, take Naruto out back with her, lock that up, and would then put a hand on Naruto's, they would then proceed to disappear and reappear in a training ground, to which Naruto would sort of look a bit surprised, and would then sort of look at her kind of a bit more, somewhat slightly expectantly, slash kind of wanting, and she'd go, well, if you want to learn this, Naruto, firstly, you'll have to learn or at least get better chakra control, and yes, I will tell you some ways to improve your control, and also, you could just go to the library, though I believe it in the Genin section, so you may have to wait until you're Genin, until, you've actually passed the exam to become a ninja, or it's potentially in the academy section of Konoha's library. I'm not that sure. And Naruto, you don't need to kind of always look at me like that. I can assure you the library should very much let you in, and if they don't, tell Hiruzen Naruto. The library is not allowed to bar pretty much anyone from there, unless Hokage-sama himself has told them to. So if they don't let you, tell Hiruzen, and he'll more than likely do that. And I know you probably don't want to get people in trouble, Naruto, but them pretty much limited, or at least them pretty much barring you entry is trying to say stuff, or you'll grow as a shinobi. And yes, you should absolutely go to the library. It will definitely help you in becoming a better shinobi, and will definitely make your or at least say underestimation of you even well, maybe not exactly better, but it would definitely make that underestimation of you, or at least of your skills, a lot kind of worse for them, as your skills will actually get better by going to the library. And after that's kind of how is that after all, it was just reading books and potential dusty old scrolls and that, to which you'd go, well, those dusty old scrolls and that have got different kind of academy level, somewhat have say fighting styles that may better suit you than the default just plain academy one. There are some entry level fighting styles that may suit you better than the academy one does, if you're using the academy one, or you're just winging it, which is definitely a way. But if you're going to wing it, you probably really want to understand potentially a fighting style and that before completely trying to wing it / make your own one up. Okay, now to somewhat nerd, I would say that he would kind of go to maybe the library sometime tomorrow or that. But yeah, should go. Anyway, though we're here, firstly, as I said, I want to see a transformation and a replacement. The reason why is they will help me to gauge how much chakra you're using and kind of your control. Okay, hi. Now to say, as you perceive to do the transformation into Evoken, from there should nod, now to release, and would then replace yourself with a log, and should tell him that that he definitely needed to work on his chakra control, as he was using too much chakra. That would ask, how could she summon tell, and should simply point out the smoke and that. Whilst everyone does produce smoke, the replacement, is the best utilization of the transformation and replacement are kind of simultaneously, and that kind of only really happens when you kind of master them to the degree in where you don't only need to use hand signs, as your hands could be bound, but also to replace yourself for that. Think about it, not only say could you replace yourself with a log, without say anyone noticing, or at least they would definitely notice, but say you use the transformation on that log, right? Simply smokelessly, so they believe you're now still there instead of just seeing the log and we got away, haha, they'd be inside, we got you, right? And that would sort of nod, understand, kind of understanding, and yeah, she knew, or at least that was another reason why she wanted to know, or at least seeing how to do those to potentially, depending on how much smoke that was, to kind of convince him, not only you, because it would help him to get the clone jutsu down, but also because it will help him to be a better shinobi, and should say, and also Naruto, if you are able to do this, only some of the most elite shinobi in Konoha are able to, actually do that. Is now to go really, most, I'd say, definitely Jonin, most high level Jonin can do that, but really only the elites of Jonin, a somewhat elite Jonin tend to really be able to do that. And definitely seamlessly, so you sort of think they're there, when in actuality they're probably now somewhere behind them, or maybe in a somewhere else, in a wooded area, somewhere nearby a forest or that, or somewhere within the forest if you are in a forest. Does Naruto just nod, and yeah, and so from there they would, from there should then ask to see Naruto's clone juice twitch. It would just kind of be completely pale and a just gargantuan amount of smoke. So it should go, definitely practicing chakra control definitely help. So what you can do, as I've said, Naruto, for chakra control is to put multiple leaves on you and try and keep them, say, to your, say, forehead and skin. And if you curious, how they, how do you tell if they're holding on? Simply, put them on upright, send chakra into them, and then if they don't blow away, if they blow away too much, if they don't, then that it's roughly the right amount, or maybe a bit less, and then tilting your hands upside down will give you the perfect idea on if you've sent too not too much, but if you've sent too little. And another thing you can also do, or at least they're more advanced leaf sticking, is leaf floating, where instead of it being stuck to your forehead or hand, it actually floats off, and then from there it's spinning, but it's not really all that much harder than having it floating off your forehead. Once you've got it flown off your forehead, you can kind of spin it. But from there, of course, you can do that to multiple leaves. And I would say the next potential best thing, even though this is kind of what, say, or at least what a Jonin sensei will teach, will kind of teach you, though I'm going to tell you this now, as you definitely need it more now than, say, wait until you graduate. You may not even actually be able to graduate without knowing this now. And that is what's called tree walking. Now I would go tree walking. How does that help my chakra controller have to make a tree walk? I would kind of say a bit dumbfounded and confused, which she would allow someone giggle and she'd go. She'd shake her head. No, though those actually, I can understand where you're coming from there now too. But in actuality, tree walking, as in you have to pretty much walk up a tree, walk up, but Naruto kind of, it would click in his hand as it go. Oh, that's how it would happen. My chakra, so I'll have to send chakra to my feet, right, and stick to the tree. Yes, though there is one before that called tree running. And do you know what that means? No, at least do you get what that means? To run up the tree. Good. And yeah, though what after that, say you complete that. Well, if you complete that, then I'll tell you what comes next. Should say. Naruto would just somewhat grumble, as you would kind of hope that she would somewhat tell him, and that maybe he could kind of do that as well, somewhat slightly simultaneously, but yeah. And so from there, he would somewhat thank her, and she would wave it off, saying that it was no problem. And so from there, though she just, or at least she would somewhat. She would after that. She would at least stick around for maybe 5 to 10 minutes to see him, run up the tree to make sure, and to maybe give him at least a bit of advice. And yeah, so after 5 or 10 minutes, she would leave, giving out a bit of advice before leaving. And yeah, from there, Naruto would learn the tree walking exercise within a week to maybe 2 or so weeks. After all, he wouldn't have the same level of connection as he does within canon, as he's learned this technique, not just this technique, a lot sooner. So his, maybe not only just his confidence, but also his connection to his chakra, and that isn't as strong as it was when he learned it in canon. So it'd be somewhat harder to do, to control in that. And yeah, and so by this point, by that point it'd probably be 9, if not 10 years old. Actually, yeah, I'd say it would be 10. And yeah, before he knew it, it'd be kind of somewhat excited, as he was the only one that at least he was the only one kind of somewhat in his class that was trying to graduate early. Of course, he'd fail due to not being able to produce a kind of usable clone, which Naruto would be somewhat sad. But yeah, though he did also know that besides from that, it did give him just longer time to convince everyone that he was a girl, even though most people by now kind of didn't even think Naruto was actually a boy. Naruto had been around a female clothes for so long now that he'd pretty much even had been somehow roped into a, or at least a few lecture on kind of what, a Conrichi, or at least, somewhat, or at least in the role, Conrichi played in, in the Shinobi Force. And, well, yeah, though Hiruzen himself would patch any information that only, say, some of the kind of men learn, mainly because he wouldn't necessarily want to kind of interfere in necessarily Naruto's own, or at least, kind of somewhat in the academy. After all, it seemed, Naruto built up this kind of, or at least, people believing he was somewhat, or at least a girl, or trying to convince them. And, yeah. Anyway, though, because managed to get, everyone there, we didn't really maybe completely remember Naruto necessarily being a boy. And the fact that he always kind of simply acted slightly feminine, girly, or, yeah, that and dressed it as one, kind of just, made them all believe that Naruto just was a girl, and in someone like Iruka who, had Naruto's, or at least could get, Naruto's file, and they'd say that male, he didn't really bother, somewhat with it. So, yeah. Anyway, though, besides on that, time would pass and Naruto would get better at chakra control. He would somewhat also learn, of course, water walking. After he'd get, tree walk down, he'd learn water walking, and then from there, she'd tell him after that it was either to kind of start trying to learn medical ninjutsu, or to meditate. Now to kind of ask how meditation would somewhat help him to someone, or at least explain that it would allow him to gain a better connection to his chakra, as he'd feel it, and also he could feel how it flows throughout him, and how say and and somewhat how say somewhat increasing say his chakra control by say a little bit to him right now could be say to his chakra, to say to his, or at least to how it say flowed through him could be a massive change, and that it'd help him to just reinforce, to just strengthen that connection, and that Naruto would somewhat roughly get a basic understanding of what he was trying to get at, and so would indeed kind of do meditation, and and somewhat at that point you saw you kind of liked orange and red, or at least it's kind of, he somewhat had kind of three favourite colours, that being orange, red and blue, though he did have a kind of fourth slightly secret one, which he suddenly seemed to slightly be ironically somewhat, or at least somewhat, kind of sort of not necessarily, kind of sort of girly, and at least not necessarily wanting to necessarily maybe own anything with that colour. After all, he wants to convince them that he's kind of a gun, but not necessarily wearing or owning anything similar of that shade, though it was kind of a somewhat, favourite colour of his deep down, that being violet. After all, his mother's eyes were violet, because did have violet eyes. And so naturally that would be somewhat, for some whatever reason inside of him, a favourite colour of his blues because of his eyes are blue. I mean, his own eyes were blue. And potentially just maybe the sea and the sky being blue as well. Who knew? Knows? And orange because red and yellow make orange, and potentially even yellow as well. But yeah. And so invent, or at least he would probably just, or at least he would think of maybe having his head dyed, but I wouldn't be 100% sure. Plus, his hair had grown out a decent length as well. And yeah, and well, you'd end up figuring that he could at least use transformation to see, or at least what his hair may look like in different colours, and then eventually maybe ask the old man or even the shop owner where he gets his clothes from to, or at least if they knew a place that could potentially maybe dye his hair, change his hair colour or that. And yeah. Anyway, to which, well, he would end up, seeing what it would look like in some violet, and eventually kind of would ask some Hazen would actually be the last person who would someone ask is would maybe potentially feel somewhat more embarrassed to tell Hazen than some owner, as he would feel maybe somewhat close after all. She had helped him all that time ago with picking his, or at least somewhat helping him initially in what would maybe be best for him to start off with in round look slightly more like a girl, and also a way to, or at least, and also kind of how maybe girls kind of walking out. After all, girls will tend to try and imitate the way their mums walk, and boys will try and imitate how their fathers or dads walk. And of course, in Naruto's case, he'd try and imitate how Hiruzen would somewhat walk. That being his figure, right? And yeah. So, well, yeah. Anyway. And yeah. So, with that, I'll end this here, guys. So, I do hope you like this part. And yeah, I do not know how long I will be, if I say I end up uploading, say, Friday, for example, as I do want to take more time to do these, somewhat what ifs, right? Because when I took my break, I did think of, doing, say, a different what if series, different what if series, instead of doing Naruto what ifs, to take a break from that and do maybe Black Clover, or Fairy Tail, a what if on that. But I was just drained from just doing what ifs in general, and just my brain pretty much just went, some what if.exe has crashed or broke or whatever, as any time I'd try and think of a what if, it just wouldn't, last. I could spend originally, maybe say hours. I could say wake up, think of a what if, have my dinner, stall, come back up, continue to think of a what if, have my bath, still think of my what if, all the way to bed, and I could literally have the computer on and do nothing that entire just day. So I was just think of a what if. So that's why I kind of want to start, not obviously for that long thinking about what if, but definitely thinking of how from this point where can this go, or at least what happen, and how will Naruto learn of him, or at least how will he kind of realize he's got maybe an actual Geki Genkai, or maybe he actually stumbles across ice release, and how does he stumble across it, Well, you just got to find out in part 2 if you guys do want it. And yeah, anyway, hope you guys have a good day or night, depending on wherever you are and whenever you watch this, and good bye.